Good morning, everyone. This is Kathleen from Crystalline AccuCare, and I welcome everyone who's called in and gotten up early, and also welcome all of you who are listening to this as a recording. So thank you so much. And today we're going to work with the concept of connecting to guidance. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and then we'll do it. So I'm going to teach it in the way that I learned it from Ellen Tad years ago, which is basically that it's a kind of a combination of ways that I've learned it from a bunch of different teachers and then just on my own discovery process. And it's the most important thing in my experience with guidance is to set the intention that we want to receive guidance from the highest dimension for the highest purpose, for our highest good. So when we call in our guides and guardians, many of you know when I do that in the beginning of a session, what I've always been taught was to call in guides and guardians from the 5th, 6th, 7th dimension and above. We don't want anything lower than that, because then you could be getting into the astral plane where there are souls that have left their bodies and are in that almost the same framework or vibration that the world is in physically. And if we're looking for guidance, we're looking for inspiration and wisdom that's higher than us. So in that case, we want to be like playing tennis with someone who's better than we are, right? So it's really a kind of, it's a intention to level up, okay? So the reason I'm suggesting we set that intention right away is because we already begin to tune into the soul signature of the beings that we're reaching. And what I mean by that is we're going to do a little exercise before we actually open the 9th chakra that just has to do with your capacity as you're walking your spiritual path. You're going to learn that your third eye is opening, and you're starting to sense and see the soul signature of an individual. And so that might be your boss or your beloved or your sibling or your best friend. But when you do that, you're actually, joining with them. So that's why, we talk about energy cords and all that stuff. When we join with people, when we think about them, the more conscious we are, the more we realize we're creating, even with our thoughts, these concepts of energy interfacing with someone's soul signature. So when we call in, for example, we call in Archangel Michael, we're asking for that frequency, which is a part of the collective consciousness, but that particular soul frequency, soul signature or energy signature, because Archangel Michael has never been in physical form in third dimension. So when we call that in, we're really asking for one of the highest vibrations we can call in. Similar to calling in any of the archangelic realm or calling in Yeshua or Jesus. He has ascended, so Yeshua brings us a particular soul signature that is very imbued with compassion and understanding, because he was in physical form. Same with Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. So, but if you have guides and guardians that are part of your soul lineage, part of your soul, what they call the oversoul and the monad, so we're all part of these soul groups and soul families, those are also extensions that you want to ask for from the 5th and 6th dimension. Sometimes we're part of soul families that are also incarnated, and so we want to make sure. It's just kind of like saying you want to tune into the highest frequency possible. So let's just sit with that. Just take a deep breath in that understanding for the moment, and just see how that lands, if that's true for you when you're seeking guidance. So in a nutshell, there are two ways to kind of communicate with the other side, right? There's prayer, and then there's meditation. Like, those are the two main things. And prayer is more of a kind of supplication, or talking, speaking our truth, our needs. Sometimes it's a co-creative assertion. When we talk to the other side, I am masterful and I'm creating this. Sometimes it's more like, oh, please, help me with this, or guide me. And generally speaking, when we can get into a fifth dimensional state of mind, and not into a less than begging kind of situation when we're working with guides, we will tend to have a better experience, in my experience as well. So as we are evolving as ascending beings, the guidance that we're getting from the fifth and sixth dimension and seventh dimension is that we are co-creating. We are in alignment as a group project. So that there is not this need for, guide me, I'm so lost, but more just like attunement that aligns with what we are already desiring. Lots of times people say, I don't know what the universe wants for me. I'm just like whatever. I'm just going to let the universe decide for me. And I say, well, that's like sitting in your car, in a moving car, and letting, like, just taking your hands off the wheel, like you're going to run into a ditch or hit somebody. It's really a good idea to be holding on to the wheel, but asking for guidance. Like, I'm driving this car, just show me where to turn. Like, co-create better than passively just saying, oh, I give up, I want the universe to fix this. The universe is going to co-create with us. And if we give up, then the universe will give us more opportunities to take our power back, actually. So that's been my experience anyway. So the way that I've been taught to access guides, and this could be a whole like 2-day workshop at least, is to recognize that you can do this in partnership. Sometimes you can go into meditation together and take turns looking at each other's guides and guardians, which can be very fun. But when you're alone and you're seeking some kind of connection, what I've found is that it's really cool to be practicing when you're not desperate for guidance, okay? So that's why it's so good to open this ninth chakra like on a daily basis and just let it stream, let the guidance come in. It could be something as simple as just an inspiring thought or an energy that gives you more alliance, feeling more aligned and more energetic. Because I have found that when I'm in a crisis, which we all have, or when I'm, really needing to have an answer of some kind, when I'm needing to make a decision, what works best for me is having deposited a lot of time in the bank where I've made the connection when I'm not in crisis, so that I know the soul signature of the guide that I want to work with, and I know the pathway for attuning and listening, so that the neural pathway is there. Because when we're in fight or flight, or when we're in crisis or fear, it's really hard to find your guides. So, in my experience. So take that in and see if a deep breath and see if that really resonates as well. Like, I said to people when I was going through my mother's transition in December, this is why I've practiced for 45 years or however many years I've been practicing since I was 16, is that you practice when it doesn't count for the times that it does count, so you can show up. And I could feel all of my practices coming together in that critical moment. They say practice for that critical moment when you need to show up, and you're called upon on every level to show up. And I know many of you have been in those experiences with your children or your own families. These are intense times, and we're being called to show up and be fearless and face those dark nights of the soul. And we're not alone. And that's why I wanted to do this particular teaching today, is that we're not alone. That's the guidance right there. So let's go into a comfortable seated position, and we're going to build some grounding into this and spin the Merkaba field, and then we'll reach for that 9th chakra. And we're going to keep an eye on the time today because I've got another deadline on the other side of this. So come into a comfortable seated position. I'm going to take just a quick sip here. Just to reiterate, we're going to set our intentions. We're going to call in our guides and guardians from the 4 directions, from the 5th, 6th, 7th dimension, and any of those above that we can interface with and receive guidance from today. So take a nice deep breath with that intention. And so this allows for all kinds of teachers and guides and guardians to come in from your particular framework and lineage. Some of us are Buddhist or Tibetan Buddhist, or we have a lineage with the goddess lineages and Isis and the goddess, Demeter is coming back in the spring, hopefully. Some of the wonderful earth-based feminist spiritualities, we can call those guides and guardians in. Certainly the grandmothers of the Cherokee nations and other native tribes, all from the 5th, 6th, and 7th dimension, those that are Christed beings. And take a moment, I'm going to give you a moment to call in your guides particularly and guardians. Now again, some of you talk about having, oh, well, my grandmother is my guide, or my father, or whatnot. I would say maybe, but don't ask for guidance from anyone less than you. And I don't mean in a value base, but anyone who has a vibration that's less than yours, you're going to end up serving them in a different way. So again, anyone from the 5th dimension and above is going to kind of protect you. Oftentimes people call in their relatives, and these are relatives that have unresolved stuff, and then they're trying to work it out through those of us in physical form. Excuse me. So take a moment of silence and just tune in and feel the soul signature of, first, someone in the physical realm that you love. It can be even an animal. My dog is my soulmate, my twin flame. Let's just tune into the soul signature of love. Someone that you love. And breathe. And so what I mean by tune in is, where do you feel this love, this tenderness, this compassion for? It can be for a person, it even can be for a location. It can be the beach or the mountains. Where do you feel this expansion and this goodness, this oneness? So this is how we tune in, is by visualizing and then feeling and seeing and knowing. There's lots of different ways to receive. But if you're holding a beloved or a sibling or even your pet in front of you, notice how it changes you. Your heart opens. Your third eye opens. You see them. You recognize them. There's a giving and receiving of energy. And if there's any kind of oopsie in that space, unresolved stuff, just let it fall away. Take your crystal and dump it out your right hand if there's some residue with that person or that place. But just allow yourself, really what I'm wanting to do is have you dip in with your third eye into the energy field as though you're like a little frog with a tongue coming out of your third eye. Just dip in and then take a taste of their energy and come back. That's all. And breathe. Okay. So you've got that experience in your energy field now of what it's like to take a read. Okay, we all are psychic. This is just a learning tool. So let's drop in a grounding cord. As we go up, I always like to go down first. So drop a grounding cord nice and firmly rooted into the earth from your root chakra and your tailbone. Drop it into the earth star beneath your feet or beneath your sits bones is about a foot below you. So just drop a nice, fresh grounding cord in there today. If there was an old one, cast that off. Drop a fresh cord in there and anchor yourself into the Earth Mother. And loop that up into the root chakra like you're like sewing a loop between you and the earth. And then up to the second chakra, down again to the earth. And then up to the third chakra. And then up to the heart. And then down to the earth. So this prepares us. The more grounded we are, the more we can receive in terms of guidance. I had this conversation with a very sweet young woman the other day who had just come back from an ayahuasca ceremony, and she was really opened up, but she was having a hard time holding all that energy. So we worked a lot on grounding her so she could integrate that opening. So let's bring up a spin to the sacred heart, which is up and to the left of the heart chakra, over to the left of the middle of your chest, and just say hello to that beautiful frequency of divinity. And it's a beautiful pink diamond. Some people see it as turquoise. Whatever you see is just what you see. It could be purple. Breathe. And build that bridge from there to your heart, your divinity and your humanity connected. And then just as you have a diamond in your heart, you have an activated diamond around you. So just give that diamond shield around you, or Merkaba, the star, whichever you feel more comfortable with. Give it the command to be as bright as the central sun. And to spin at 60, 70, 80% the speed of light. Really give it a spin. If you're using the Merkaba, either one, remember you're spinning in counter-rotating fields. So you've got one going one way and one going the other. And this will raise your vibration so that you also can hear and feel and sense more from your guides and guardians. So now take a moment, and I'm going to invite the caller who just joined us to just drop in a grounding cord and get settled. We got started a little earlier today. We're just grounding and then setting the field to tap into our guides and guardians. So take a moment to drop in that grounding cord and then bring up the connection to the sacred heart and the high heart and the human heart, that beautiful bridge. And then we're spinning the Merkaba or the diamond shield in counter-rotating fields with that beautiful grounding cord, solid in the earth, looped through our lower 4 chakras. And then we're going to just simply awaken the throat chakra. Say hello to the throat. Say hello to the third eye. Say hello to the crown. Open the crown as you're spinning your Merkaba field at 80 or even 90% of the speed of light. Open your crown into that 5th, 6th dimensional frequency of trust and seeking. When we go into the words, they have a signature too. So just going into trust and seeking or openness, that opens the crown further, and you might start to feel a streaming occur. So just be with that. Let the crown open like a beautiful lotus flower on the top of your head. And as you do, reach about 4 inches above your head to the 8th chakra, which many people see as it's a repetition of the 7 in our body. So it almost repeats its sequence, but in a much higher vibration. So the 8th chakra is like the root chakra of the chakra system that's outside the body, the 7 chakras above the body. Okay? It's still a part of your energy field. It's still, for some people, it is also part of the physicality. Depends on your orientation. But open to that 8th chakra, which is your higher self, your higher mind. This is still you. This is still an individuated part of you. So notice what happens when you're in that space of an expanded sense of who you are. And you can imagine it as like a red chakra, like the root, but imbued with gold, is how I see it. Maybe you all will see it differently. It's like it's an emblazoned root chakra, or an uplifted root chakra. So allow that higher self to just stream into your body. Bring it into your crown. Bring it into your third eye, the center of your head. Allow it to awaken anything in your neurology to be open to your guidance and guardians today. And remember again, we set the intention at the beginning that we're opening to the guides and guardians that are only in the 5th dimension and above. Only Christed beings are welcome in this phase. It's like we want to play tennis with the best, so our game gets better. We don't want to invite astral plane entities or beings, because then we may end up teaching them. That's not what the purpose of this meditation is for. That's a different exercise. So sit with that higher mind seating more in your crown, third eye. You might even feel the back of your head opening. Breathe. And now we're going to come back to that consciousness of the higher mind, higher self. And that's been anchored now in the crown and the third eye. So you have a sense of even your own higher soul signature. And I'm going to invite you now to take a step to go another 4 inches above your head, 2 to 3, 4 inches above your head, above that 8th chakra. So really 8 inches above your head, to be precise. 4 inches above the 8th chakra. And give the command to the 9th chakra to activate. And just notice what happens. The first time I did this, I experienced like my head popping out of the clouds. Like coming into, like when a plane bursts through and comes out of the, it's going in an ascension and pops out. But just notice what you notice when you open your energy field at this level very precisely. And take a moment to seek guidance, and maybe from a specific guide or guardian. Could be Archangel Michael, it could be Yeshua, it could be Padma Sambhava, whoever you feel you would like to seek today. But what you are doing by accessing this 9th chakra is you're actually dialing into a collective consciousness of Christ energy. So that's why sometimes it can feel like this is amorphous. I can't quite get it. I don't quite connect. It's because you're connecting to a field that's very much higher vibration than we're used to normally. We're used to picking up the phone and getting that person on the phone, and it's very individuated. Know that when you're calling on, for example, Archangel Michael, he's coming out of a collective to greet you. And he's going to be supported by that collective energy. And he's also going to communicate with you in a language of light and knowing. So just sit with that. Notice any colors as you seek the soul signature of your guide. Notice any sounds. Notice any feelings. Keep that crown open. The 9th chakra is also guided by the 9th ray, which is a ray of creation that carries all sound currents and sound frequencies. some that we hear and many that we don't. Allow your guides to deposit in your energy field something new today through the sound currents that you may or may not hear, and through the light currents that you may or may not see. This is where the trust comes in, that you are opening to these realms and seeking, and in total receptivity, relaxation and groundedness, allow yourself to receive. And just like a car that fills its tank, when you're filling the car, you don't fill the car and drive the car at the same time. So just allow the filling up of your field. Don't start thinking, don't start implementing the energy. What you're dealing with is undifferentiated light to start with, which is, it's ready for creation, but it's not yet formed. So allow this to just flow in. And then you'll figure it out later. Just allow. From the ninth chakra, from the soul signature of that ninth chakra, of the being you're seeking, they will emerge. Maybe it's an angelic female spirit or soul energy, soul signature. What is the message for you today? What is that brand, that energy that you're particularly tuning into for your project? Maybe if you're in the healing arts, your Raphael is coming in. Or Grandmother Anna, who was a great healer and herbalist. Maybe it's a being you don't even recognize, but you're going to get to know. And with deep reverence and gratitude, as this comes into your eighth and then your crown, allow it to stream into your sacred heart. And notice if the message gets any more refined, any more clear. And you may feel it in a physical way. You may be sitting up a little taller. You may feel a little less tension. You may feel a little more sovereign as you align with these higher divinity, higher divine beings. That's the whole point. They hold the frequency that we can step into to remember who we are. I'm going to say that again. When we contact our guides, they hold a frequency that we can match or step into so we can remember who we are. So allow your cells to absorb this. Allow the bloodstream from the sacred heart, the thymus gland, to be activated and brought into alignment. Allow the blood, the lymph, the bones, the organs, the tissues, the skin, the neurological system to be imbued with this guidance today. Allow the chakra system to be upgraded. Allow any imbalances to be balanced. And allow any energies that are discordant to run out into the Earth star. Let it just run out that grounding cord. and breathe. And I'm going to invite you, as I back away, step away, at the end of this meditation today, I'm going to invite you to stay in this space another 5 minutes. Anchor this and know that this 9th chakra, like when we seek the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, it's just a few inches above our head and inside of us. So notice if your cells are tingling. Notice if your heart is more open. Your mind is quiet. You're sitting in your sovereignty, your authority, your sacred divinity. And see if there's anything that emerges within the next 5 minutes about how you want to proceed with your day, with your projects, with the decision that you have to make. And just sit. Give yourself another 3 or 4 minutes. Many, many blessings. And when you are complete, give thanks to your guides and guardians and release them to do their work elsewhere. And if you so choose, you can keep your vibration this high for the rest of the day. You're spinning Merkaba. Many blessings. Much love to you, dear ones.